A very good morning to you and welcome to another edition of Political Spectrum. We're coming to you live on Spectrum Television. A very big hello from me. I am Raymond Ita. While we're of course all celebrating and enjoying the festivities as they continue, it's important to keep an eye on events and developments from across the country, especially as Nigerians anticipate keenly the year 2023. You would agree we have been building up to us next year, right after the conclusion of the 2019 general elections, which of course saw President Buhari return for another term. He would be vacating office come May next year. He's been talking tough, of course, about post-presidency for him. Let's not forget, just yesterday we saw the release of a documentary that was done a few months back, about Mr. President, and where he said it was likely to retire to his hometown of Daura shortly after his tenure expires. Well, we'll dwell on other keener issues in the course of the show today, especially on burning issues, where we hope to be getting first-hand feelers from some members of the All Progressives Congress APC here in the state following a court judgment that actually reserved ruling on the matter concerning Oba Kanimo Dofia, who missed by a high court ruling as the APC gubernatorial candidate for the 2023 election. But as usual, we'll keep you abreast with the latest information and news updates as it concerns political happenings across the country. That will be on Political Updates, which comes up in a short while. Stay with us after this break. The program continues. Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us once again. You can always follow us via all our social media platforms and do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find at spectrumtv.ng. It's all on our website. Let's start off with political updates, shall we? As we go to Kogi State, where the government has announced it has declared Thursday, December 29, 2022, as a public holiday, with the state preparing to receive President Muhammadu Buhari for the inauguration of the legacy project of the Governor Yahaya Bello-led administration. Well, a statement issued by the State Commissioner for Information and Communications, Kingsley Fonwo, urged the people of Kogi State to come out en masse to receive the president and display the hospitality that they were known for. The state government also urged all labor unions and security agencies in Kogi to ensure a full compliance. Well, we know this is on the back of Mr. President's expected visit to Kogi State, where he will commission some projects. And we know, of course, Governor Yahaya Bello is a top chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, and we expect some political messages, of course, to be shared by the Jew in the build-up to that event as we look up to the 2023 polls. Let's go to Benue State now, where Governor Samuel Atom has charged Nigerians to arm themselves with their permanent voter cards, PVCs, to enable them to vote for credible leaders in the 2023 general elections. Well, Atom also backed the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAs, which is the technology that will be used for the accreditation and authentication of voters come 2023. Well, he stated that the country was going through pains, hardship, as well as economic and security woes because those who were elected to lead the country at various levels have actually failed to live up to their responsibility. Well, the Benue governor further encouraged the people to ensure that they participate in the forthcoming elections, saying this time there is no snatching of ballot boxes, as the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAs, will make a very, very big difference. Well, just how much the people of Benue State and, of course, Nigerians would key into Governor Samuel Otom's messages is left to be seen. We know there have been growing concerns about the possibility of INEC conducting free, fair and credible polls next year, with concerns in previous elections around irregularities like snatching of ballot boxes and manipulating results of elections. Well, there have been assurances from INEC and even the federal government that this time we would have no such issues. With the passing of the Electoral Act, provisions have been made, of course, to have electronic method of voting. So courtesy of the BVAs, we will not see most of these incidences again. Let's turn our sights back to President Muhammadu Buhari now, who has said that after leaving office, he will retire to his hometown of Daura in Katsina State, which is far away from the epicenter of the 2023 political activities. President Buhari stated this when he hosted a delegation of Abuja residents who were led by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mohammed Bello, at the State House in Abuja, where the president also said he has only one house in Daura to retire to after his tenure elapses in May 2023. Well, in his address earlier, begging your pardon, the FCT Minister Mohammed Bello also noted that the Christmas visit, of course, will be the last, of course, for President Muhammadu Buhari, and it's something that was worth celebrating, expressing delight as well that the meeting was held after it was halted for 2 years. That was in 2020 as well as in 2021, and we know this was due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, most of these revelations, as I said earlier, were made when President Buhari, we saw him in a documentary that was released recently in the prior to his birthday celebration, where the president talked keenly about what to expect from him after he leaves office next year. Aside saying he would retire to Daura, the president also frowned at claims that were made that he actually died while he was in office, and he was being referred to sometimes as Jibril from Sudan. When asked about his reaction to those claims, well, he said he was actually angry and disappointed hearing most of these claims, but he said this was the handiwork of mischief makers, and in spite of the efforts by his administration to put things right, most Nigerians have not cooperated with his administration. So it looks like the president is very eager to leave office. We'll see about that next year. Speaking about next year, ahead of the 2023 general elections, a former Minister of Education, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, has charged presidential candidates in the country to tell Nigerians the truth about the state of the nation instead of promising immediate results. Well, Ezekwesili, who spoke as a guest on a televised interview, said she, regardless of who emerges president next year, immediate results may not be achieved in 4 years, and that's down to the level of decay in the system. Well, according to her, any candidate who is promising instant results after the 2023 elections is not being fair to the people, and she noted that it was important to understand that citizens must be ready for the work ahead, because it is going to require everyone working together to make stability and growth in the country happen. Well, we know the 2023 general elections will begin with the Presidential and National Assembly polls, which comes up on February 25, 2023. And then it will be followed, of course, by the gubernatorial and state houses of assembly election, which will, of course, come on March 10. So as early as the 13th and 14th of March 2023, we should have a full rundown of the results of all that we're looking forward to next year. Well, on the back of Mrs. Obi Ezekwesili's claims that candidates should tell Nigerians the truth, I'm sure it's not far from the recent campaignings and promises made by political candidates and their parties in the lead up to elections. Some of them making promises around the states and the parts of the country that they have visited, promising to change things as soon as they get in. So she's saying, let's deal with the reality by telling Nigerians the truth around these situations, rather than make promises that may not be fulfilled within the time frame that most Nigerians are actually expecting. We're talking about the conduct of the elections. Let's turn our sights now to INEC. The Independent National Electoral Commission has said that those who embarked on double registration for the Permanent Voter Card (PVC) will not be disenfranchised. Well, the National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee of INEC, Festus Okoye, disclosed this to newsmen yesterday. Well, Okoye explained that double registrants are not entitled to new PVCs, and noting that the Commission did not print their cards. Well, he also said INEC had decided to retain their previous valid registration in order not to completely disenfranchise them. Well, Okoye, however, described double or multiple registration and possession of more than one PVC as an electoral offense. Well, it's other than individuals who engage in double and multiple registrations and those who go to the collection centers to also cause confusion, insults and assault of some of INEC staff, risk being arrested as well as prosecuted. Well, we know severally in the build-up to the polls, INEC has assured that all will be done to ensure that the elections are conducted in the freest possible manner. Well, we know the electoral umpires also face concerns in the lead up to the polls, such as attacks on its facilities. We cannot, of course, continue to list out some of INEC's stations, offices and facilities across the country that have been attacked in recent times. Only last week we saw a fresh attack in Imo State, which was a third in as many as 3 weeks. And these disturbing concerns have forced INEC to say the chances of having credible polls next year could be hampered if the attacks were not forestalled. But as far as having credible polls in terms of ensuring that the accredited number of persons who vote is exactly the same number of results that will be churned out, INEC have given assurances that this will be the case. And so they've warned those who've been trying to hack into the BVA service of INEC and those who have gone about with the business of vote buying and vote trading in some parts of the country to desist from doing so, because according to INEC, they're always 3 steps ahead. So assurances are there. Nigerians should expect INEC to do their job come next year, so we can have an election which of course will be monitored by the international community. Of course, just last week we had the European Union have said they will send a mission observation team to Nigeria to monitor the process of that election, and we're looking forward to that very, very keenly. Well, stay with us. Still to come on the show this morning. A High Court has reserved judgment in the case of Obong Akanimo Udofia, the erstwhile gubernatorial candidate of the All Progressives Congress (APC) in the lead-up to next year's election after a suit challenged its emergence as the candidate of the party at the end of the APC gubernatorial primaries here in Akwa Ibom State. All the details of that and more coming up on Burning Issues. Stay with us. Political Spectrum will return.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my lord.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll being in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
Out on this day to come and say happy Christmas to me. My own response to you. It has been a very busy day for you. So I thank you very much for making the time, and I congratulate you and your families for this great day. And I hope I promise a lot of my colleagues that I will try and be as far away from Abuja as possible in 5 months. It out on this day to come and say happy Christmas to me. My own response to you. It has been a very busy day for you. So I thank you very much for making the time, and I congratulate you and your families for this great day. And I hope I promise a lot of my colleagues that I will try and be as far away from Abuja as possible in 5 months.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president and stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigeria Police Force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian Police Force.
No, my Lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My Lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My Lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my
this
Lord.
an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord. I'm just reminding your Lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Welcome back, and many thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Political Spectrum on Spectrum Television with me, Raymond Ater. Do not forget, you can always follow us on all our social media platforms to get more feeds on all the stories, news, and information that we are tracking. And do also subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, all of which you can find at spectrumtv.ng. Let's get straight to the thick of things on burning issues, and we're focusing on Akwa Ibom State, and we're looking keenly at the All Progressives Congress APC in the build-up to next year's general elections. Well, we know a few months ago, a federal high court ruling had dismissed the candidacy of Obong Akanemodofia as the gubernatorial flag bearer of the APC ahead of next year's polls. But only just yesterday, a court of appeal in Abuja reserved judgment in the appeal by the sacked Akwa Ibom governorship candidate of the party, Obong Akanemodofia. We'll get a lot of perspective on this firsthand from those who know even better. Joining us live over the line from the state capital is Barrister Imo Akpan. He's a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst. He joins us live on Political Spectrum. Good morning to you, Barrister Imo. Many thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to
have compliments of the season.
Same to you as well. Many thanks indeed for joining us. Let's start off by asking first.
Just to let you know that I'm holidaying in my village.
Oh, okay.
In Ikon local government area.
Oh.
And apparently that is why the network may be fluctuating or something. But it's my pleasure to be with you.
It's a pleasure as well to have you. Thank you very much for obliging us with your opportunity and presence on the show. All right, let's get straight to it now. The APC has been having several issues in-house in the lead up to next year's election. We're not going to go all over the story around that surrounded the build-up to the primaries we saw early this year, which eventually led to the emergence of Obong Akanemodofia as the gubernatorial candidate of the party. His candidacy was dismissed by a high court ruling, and only just yesterday we heard a court of appeal in Abuja has reserved judgment on that case. Well, it's your field and you know this better than us, while you're also privy to some of the things going on within the APC here in the Akwa Ibom State. Well, the first question is, what's the reaction from members of the party to the latest information that we have received from the Court of Appeal in Abuja yesterday, also considering that you also have a rearranged primaries in the APC to look forward to?
Well, members of the party are upbeat. Members of the party are happy. Members of the party have been quite patient, especially when we have submitted ourselves and our position to the courts. When matters are before the courts, it said it is sub judice, so they're not open for discourse or analysis and so on and so forth. But the general mood of members of the party is that feeling of excitement. There is hope in the air that in a short while from now, all of this cloud will clear up, and then the governorship candidate of the party will be on sound and sure footing to contest the 2023 elections. And I know that it is not just members of the party who are optimistic, who are forward-looking to hear this very positive news. The generality of Akwa Ibom people are also excited that for once this matter would be put behind all of us, and then we can go forward. I'm aware that the Court of Appeal actually sat on Saturday, 24th of December, in Abuja. I'm not sure if there was another sitting yesterday, but judgment in the case in both appeals have been reserved, and any moment from now, I believe that in line with the practice direction for accelerated and abridged proceedings in most of the cases bordering on pre-elections, we should receive date for a verdict sometime soon.
Interesting. Well, the next concern here has to be around the timeliness on most of these rulings, just as we saw previously with the dismissal of Obon Akanimo Odofia's candidacy, with a lot of persons saying this was too close to the general elections. And Justice Agatha Okeke, who had delivered that ruling dismissing Obon Akanimo Odofia's candidacy, had also ordered for a fresh primaries to be conducted for the APC, which Obon Akanimo Odofia was exempted from participating. And now we have this latest information coming in about the reservation of the judgment by the Court of Appeal, meaning we're still looking forward to further rulings on this, and we've not seen the last of this. The elections are just a couple of months around the corner, and the APC, the main opposition party in the state, is yet to put its house in order because of internal wranglings such as this. Are you concerned by the timeliness of these developments and whether it would hamper the APC's preparations to be a part of next year's governorship election in Akwa Ibom State?
Well, we would have preferred a situation where we're not beset by some of these interruptions within the polity. But be that as it may, we have to contend with where we found ourselves. This is a judicial process, and we're also happy that by virtue of the amendments to the Electoral Act, we have this window to ventilate all grievances within the party using the legal mechanisms available to party members. And I can assure you and the APC faithful in the state that the APC is ready for the elections, and whenever the court comes through with the judgments, we'll probably have just about one more wrong after this, supposing either party or any of the parties is still not satisfied. It is still within the ambit of the law to seek further ventilation, further review. But I can assure you that the APC is comfortable with the fact that it will be on the ballot. We don't have all the time on our hands. Our message to Akwa Ibom people is concise and straightforward. The challenge within the state is well known to everybody. And we will harp on these issues and present our candidacy to the people of Akwa Ibom State. And we are sure that it doesn't have to take eternity to get this message across. It also does not have to take eternity to get Akwa Ibom people to understand and appreciate and come to a decision of the fact that the best way out of where we found ourselves in this state today is to team up with the APC and bring prosperity to Akwa Ibom people.
Well, some political onlookers would beg to differ, as much as you've given assurances, and not just you. The other big wigs in the APC here in the States are all full of confidence that, yes, the APC would be on the ballot But it shows just how far most Akwa Ibamites and the entirety of Nigerians would want to measure the APC's maturity in handling internal issues, because one would have thought that within the fold of the APC there should have been some gentleman agreement that whatever happens at the outcome of the primaries, every other defeated aspirant would work together with whoever emerges. But we're having court cases left, right, center, and as you have just said yourself, whoever is dissatisfied with the outcome of these rulings can decide to challenge them at even higher court. It again borders on the issue of timeliness and just how much most of these cases would hamper or prevent you from being at the elections. Let's look at Rivers State, for instance. The APC is not going to be on the ballot following incidences like this. So there are fears and concerns Akwa Ibom State APC could also be towing that direction because the aspirants within the party do not want to queue behind whoever emerges at the end of the day. If you're serious about your intentions to take over from the PDP in the state, it's a worry that you cannot put your houses in order. How then can you take over the Hilltop Mansion?
Well, just to clarify that every other political party that is making any showing in Akwa Ibom State also has a case in court. The PDP has a case in court, which is a make or mar situation for them, bordering on the candidature of his governorship candidate, his qualification to stand elections in the first place, and sometimes even as to whether he went to school or not. The YPP also has its fair share of wranglings. There's a civil suit still pending, and the APC only has its share. To correct the fact that the APC in Rivers State has no candidature, the Court of Appeal in Rivers State has overturned or upturned that situation. The Court of Appeal even went ahead to declare that other political parties have no business in what happens in the primaries, in the internal affairs.
Sorry to call you in. You're referring to the ADC. Well, we're talking about the APC. Well, the APC in Rivers State.
The decision of the Court of Appeal is a decision based on principles of law. I mean, we all cannot have our names pronounced by the courts on issues that affect all of us. So once you have one decision of the court, it applies generally, generically, to all issues that border on the subject matter. The decision of the Court of Appeal in the ADC matter is that political members of a particular political party cannot, begin to jump and interfere in what happens in the primaries of other political parties. And so therefore that applies. And that's the decision of the Court of Appeal. Also a long-standing decision and principle of law. In Akwa Ibom State, we had a similar situation where you have members of the PDP. In fact, you have the PDP seeking to join the appeal of the APC. And then you begin to wonder, what exactly is the aim? What exactly is the intention? But the law has been settled. And it is good that we bring that to the fore. But like I was saying, every other political party has its fair share of wranglings. It is healthy that you have people, you have people who have the opportunity to ventilate whatever grievance they have. And that is why the APC, for instance, will not deprecate members simply because they hold contrary views and hold contrary opinions. What I know is that where you have losers, even in a free and fair contest, there is what you call bad losers. The bad losers would never accept that they have lost. Even those who don't stand a chance would always want to throw spanners into the wheels, So that is basically what you're finding, and I'm saying that that is not just in the APC alone. All the other political parties also have this uncertainty hovering over them as we move into the elections. But I can assure you once again that all of this will blow over. It's a matter of time. The wheels of justice grind, but very slowly, but very surely. So we would get there, and definitely will be on the ballot to contest the election. The APC is very serious. We're taking all of these issues very, very seriously, but we're not going to lose sleep over the things we know in a matter of time will be resolved. We won't lose sleep over that. We're working. We're putting all our plans in place. we're oiling our wheels of progress, and we are revving up the engine of prosperity for Kwabon people. For once, there's going to be true change in this state. And we look forward to that because we trust in God that will come to pass.
Interesting. Just to make a reference quickly to a statement that was made by former Senate President Ayim Pius Ayim, who blasted political parties across Nigeria for being responsible for, in his own words, the decadence that governance in Nigeria has seen and suffered over the years. Because according to him, political parties in Nigeria have guidelines, rules and regulations that guides the processes of their respective parties, either at conventions, primaries, or whatever. But according to him, the parties do not stick to their own regulations. So how much more would those of them who are clamoring to hold public offices respect the rule of law when they eventually get it there? And it looks like a problem that perhaps the APC in the Kwabon state seems to have faced since the famous merger took place in 2014. There had been expectations that perhaps the APC, right from the 2019 polls, would take over the Hilltop mansion because of the quality of personnel within the rank and file of the party. But it looks like the internal intrigue cases that the APC in the Kwabon state has suffered over the years is down to the fact that the rules and the regulations guiding the activities of the party are usually not adhered to. Any indication as to why this is always people with personal interests to protect and dissatisfaction with the way things have gone? But then there are rules guiding the party. So on the premise of Senator Ayim's comments, why do you think it's a problem for political parties to adhere to simple regulations that they themselves initiated?
Well, it's easy for people to point accusing fingers at others, even when they themselves have serially fallen foul of the law. The attitudes and attitude for non-observance, non-adherence to laws, to rules and regulations is not a problem of political parties. It is a natural human condition, and I dare say it's a natural Nigerian condition. I mean, the average person on the street would not want even to simple instructions, so for those who now have the opportunity, who are situated in positions of authority, it is burdensome for them to adhere to simple instructions. And so, therefore, you have lofty legislations, you have lofty laws, lofty regulations, well-intended instruments to guide human conduct and regulate activities of political parties, associations, and groups. But they are flouted by not just the members of those groups, but even the Nigerian populace. Our attitude to ensuring that the right things remain right is quite abysmally low. And so, therefore, formulation of lofty instruments to guide human conduct is quite different from people adhering to and implementing the spirit of what those instruments represent. So it is not just a problem of the APC. In Akwa Ibom State, the problem of the APC has been state-controlled agencies working to frustrate the aspirations of the APC at the polls. We don't want to go historical, but you would see that right from 2015 through to 2019, even the rec, the infamous outgone rec of Akwa Ibom State, Mr. Mike Guinea, in his elements, also said that winning elections in Akwa Ibom State has been about just writing figures. And that is in tandem and conforms with the position the APC has held for a long time now in the state. But we are hoping that there ought to be a departure from that it is not just about members of the party adhering to the regulations of their party as a micro-organization, but also of the populace adhering to the general legislation governing elections.
Well, with reference
that
to
one man must cast only one vote, that there must not be opportunity provided by agents of state or even the electoral umpire to favor any political party to manipulate the electoral process. Now, what we have as an amendment to the Electoral Act, which is the 2022 Act, is a great improvement, all aimed at eliminating human interference in the sanctity of the electoral process. But you would also discover that while we are working at that, there are also politicians in their ingenuity who are seeking to circumvent that process. You hear now that there are people who are collecting PVCs, who are copying serial numbers of PVCs, and then the question is, for what and to what end? So you have people who innately cannot adhere to simple instructions. You have people who, beyond the local regulations they make within their political parties, have difficulty even adhering to constitutional provisions. You have political parties even in Akwa Ibom State where the constitution has stipulated minimum requirements for contesting elections as to qualifications and certifications and schooling, still would want to stretch the electoral process to make it bend over and backwards to accommodate candidates who clearly have fallen foul and short of the law. So it is not just an APC problem. The APC problem in Akwa Ibom said, yes, we have had, splinters of issues here and there, but as far as elections in Akwa Ibom State have been concerned, it is the fact that there have always been this collusion and collaboration by state actors working in tandem with the party in the government of the day to frustrate the chances of the APC. But there's going to be a different ballgame this time around. I can assure you of that.
Well, that's an interesting allegation to make about the fact that some persons within your party may be working in connivance with the ruling party here in the state. And you did make reference to a comment by the former INEC rec in the state about the fact that elections in the Akwa Ibom State are, as you claimed, he said, writing figures. Well, I just want to ask whether or not that included the 2019 elections, which Mr. Mike Igini personally oversaw as the rec, and he had said the way things were done before now is absolutely going to change in his time. So are you also saying that the 2019 elections that we saw last year also included just writing figures and not actually authenticating the actual number of votes that the Akwa Ibomites churned out? That's one. And number two, quickly, you've talked about internal intricacies and the fact that there may be outside sponsors who are responsible for the crisis within the APC. There are some who have said, what has the APC in Akwa Ibom State done to assuage the feelings of aggrieved members of the party? So much so that we saw one of the founding members of your party and serial gubernatorial contestant in the person of Senator James Akpanudoide defect to the NNPP, where he is today a gubernatorial candidate. So it goes to show that while you're shooting yourselves in the foot, how much has the APC done to also assuage the feelings of members of the party who are not happy with the way things are being done?
Well, to situate that, or all of those, I mean, that's a hydra-headed question. So to place all of all, yes, Mr. Igini, this discourse is not about Igini. I would, as an individual, want to put Mr. Igini and his tenure in Akwa Ibom State past me, and in the APC, we also want to put that past us.
Okay.
Because when I talk about state, when I talk about state actors and then the electoral umpire working in tandem to stultify fortunes of political parties, a characteristic situation presented itself. You know, we're long gone past that now, and that contributed, to part of the problems the APC is facing today. The misdirections and the misleading things that former rec did, and all of that. Now, you would always have discontent. some of the questions you asked didn't directly reflect the things I said,
Yeah.
but you would always have discontent. You know, you also cannot rule out the fact that there are always members of your party who wants to be moles. We have had them all through history. You have people who are planted in your party. You have people who are paid in your party. You have hirelings. You have those who have a consistent, who have displayed consistent characteristic of always selling out.
Mokban would do well to re-establish contact with him. Looks like we have him back on the line. Barrister Mokban, welcome back. Please go ahead quickly.
Yes, you have people that once you see them in any electoral contestation, you are almost certain that things are not going to go well. Now, I'm not sure how you described the former National Secretary of the APC, Dr. Odoedere. Did you refer to him as a serial contestant?
Serial candidates long before the 2019 elections.
Or did you use the word serial?
Well, the records are there. How many times has he actually contested for the elections?
No. I just needed to confirm so that I place my response in context.
Okay, you're pretty much in line.
If indeed, and rightly so, you use the word serial. I mean, I didn't want to be the offending person, so I'm quoting you now. You know, if indeed you use the expression serial contestant or a serial candidate, then that only explains what is going on. You know, I remember somebody had referred to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar as a candidate in search of a political party. There are people that you cannot do away with once there is an election. I mean, no matter what happens, there are always candidates of political parties. And so if you have someone who has serially contested five successive elections, and I mean, the results have always been the same.
Well,
so
not cutting you short.
The former national secretary from contesting this election.
That's right. Barrister Mokban, not cutting you short.
Is anything to go by?
Yeah, not cutting you short here, but you know better than I do. As long as it's within his rights as provided for by the Constitution, then he has a right to contest as much as he wants. So perhaps no offense taken in trying to address that line of questioning.
I just applaud you. I just applaud your choice of words.
Okay.
And the adjective you use. You know, so you can't actually stop anybody from contesting. If your passion is right and your conviction is strong enough, and a certain political party does not offer you the platform to access the electorate directly. We have several political parties in Nigeria, and I think that the former National Secretary has opted to test his popularity on the platform of another political party. But you see, we also know that the exit of the former National Secretary has brought some sanity back into the APC. And we're working. There are still residue and vestiges of some of the things that took place at the certain time that we're still having to contend with, including some of the litigations that are ongoing now within the party, which are clearly sponsored by elements within the party. But I can tell you that the party is doing everything. The governorship candidates of the party, Obama Kanema Odofia, has done everything, let me speak in past tense now, had done everything to reach out to each of the governorship aspirants, reach out to stakeholders, male and female, across the state, seeking their cooperation, seeking their friendship, extending that hand of friendship, and asking that we all sheathe our swords and forge a common front to confront a common enemy. And I'll tell you that given his magnanimity and free-spiritedness, that has yielded quite a lot of results, positive results. And that is why you find that the contestations you have legally are quite minimal. For instance, maybe all other aspirants would have also been in court, but you just have one or two of them, who feel that, well, let somebody else have the opportunity of also hearing them out. There are people who feel like that. And I think they have a right to, they are entitled to. But I think also that even for these people, in fairness to them, that they still have the interests of the party at the back of their minds and would love to see the party triumph in the next general elections. It's just a matter of understanding, it's just a matter of perspective, that we are sure that at the appropriate time before the elections, we would all come to the same page and then approach the Akwa Ibom people with our manifesto, with our plans of action, to take Akwa Ibom people from where we are to that position of prosperity and rebirth for everyone.
And very quickly as well, the previous ruling, as it affected the gubernatorial primaries of the APC, as well as those of the Akwa Ibom Northwest Senatorial District, actually led to a verbal face-off between the former INEC rec in Akwa Ibom State, Mike Igini, as well as the INEC National Commissioner Mohammed Aruna, over what authorities the Constitution or the electoral right grants to INEC to interfere with party politics. A short while ago, you talked about the court ruling as it affected Rivers State and the judgment of the courts that said one party had no business with what happens at the other. But this time we're talking about INEC because they are the electoral umpire, and if it took two prominent men within the electoral body as Igini and Mohammed Aruna to verbally argue over what INEC can do and not do, or you're a legal practitioner and you know the law better than we do. I wonder, what's your position on what INEC is allowed to do or not to do as it concerns most of the litigations that we have seen, not just here in Akwa Ibom State, but across the country as we build up to next year's polls? Because the arguments of most parties are, these are internal affairs. The electoral umpire has no business whatsoever with what we do.
Well, now that you've referred to Mr. Igini again, I'd like to say that Mr. Igini, well, let's say representing or as a metaphor for an electoral umpire, it's like having two football teams in a football match, and then the referee, which is INEC in this case, becomes a third team, and this third team decides to team up with one of the teams in the football match. So you have a football team on the other side, and then you have the other football team standing alone. That is actually what happened in Akwa Ibom State, and therefore that is also the mindset, as far as I'm concerned, that the former REC continues to carry. You cannot read into the Electoral Act what is not there. That is the law. You cannot wish into a law what is not expressly written in the law. The law is not a spiritual document. It is a physical document representing the intentions of the lawmaker to solve a particular problem or guard against future occurrence per time. So nobody has the exclusive preserve of the wisdom and knowledge and intendment of what the Electoral Act meant to achieve that it didn't state. So, I mean, we're in court, and I expect that from the Court of Appeal and up to the Supreme Court, pronouncements will be made in the shortest possible time as to what exactly is the role, the function of INEC in political party primaries. As a person, I do not believe that the Electoral Act 2022 meant that INEC should organize political party primaries for parties to come and attend. My understanding is, and that coheres with the position of the Supreme Court and the Electoral Act, that it is the exclusive repose of political parties to organize their primaries and notify INEC and inform INEC and invite INEC to monitor those primaries. That is found in Section 82 of the law, and also it's Section 84 of the law. And the man who is invited to monitor cannot take primacy over the man who organizes. It is simple logic. But you see, not all common sense is common. So we await the decisions of the Court of Appeal. We also await the decisions of the Supreme Court. I do not want to belabor myself with what happened in the case of the DIJ Pudum with the Correctional Senatorial District seat. That case is also being appealed against right now. Senator Fabio, who was the rightful candidate of the party, sought leave and was granted to appeal that, and has canvassed robust arguments at the Supreme Court. And will await that pronouncement from the Supreme Court so that those who ought to be contesting elections as candidates of political parties rightfully will be allowed to contest those elections. And then those who are what the Supreme Court calls meddlesome interlopers and busybodies should be shown the way out and then rightfully placed to go find something else doing. We don't want to entertain this kind of confusion within the party and within the polity. We have to be clear-eyed and then have clear directions as to what APC represents. We also do not want situations where the electoral umpire contributes to the problems of political parties. So far in Akwa Ibom State, most of the issues that have generated controversy in the APC have been the handiwork, the machinations of the outgone wreck. But like I said, we want to put that behind us because we are before the courts now, and decisions will be given and will be binding on everybody.
Interesting. Well, just before I let you go, the political elites and, of course, those who understand better would easily comprehend all that we have said today. But the man on the street awaits February 25th and March 10, when we'll have the presidential, national assemblies, as well as the state governorship and state houses of assembly election next year. Let's focus on Akwa Ibom State now. A message to would-be supporters and voters who are actually hoping to perhaps cast their ballots in favor of your party in the event that the APC succeeds in wooing their support. While they're all monitoring what's going on, getting information about cases left, right, center, which has led to some of them having large disbelief that the APC might not stand for the election come next year. I mean, that's the word that has spreading around the street. So the APC does have to do to let people know that, yes, we're likely to be on the ballot. In the face of all this, what would you say to supporters of the party scattered across the state and other parts of the country?
Well, God works in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. There is nothing that has happened in the APC in Akwa Ibom State that is not to our advantage. I tell you that very clearly. There is nothing that has happened in the APC in Akwa Ibom State that has not been to our advantage. At every point and at every obstacle we have had the opportunity to surmount, it has been and we are going to continue to enjoy that. And this is because our views and plans and programs for Akwa Ibom State are altruistic. The governorship candidate of the party, a preferred governorship candidate, a presumed governorship candidate, is a man who has the interest of the downtrodden of Akwa Ibom State at heart. That as a private citizen, a businessman, and an entrepreneur par excellence, many people do not know that Obong Akanema Odofia is the largest single private philanthropist in Akwa Ibom State, who has touched lives ranging from offering scholarships in the education sector, building infrastructure the hostel building for postgraduate students in the Akwa Ibom State University cost nothing less than 2 billion. That is a private investment in the future of generations yet unborn. I don't want to go into the health sector. Consistently over the last 1 decade has provided free medical services, free of charge, to indigent citizens of the state, has reached out, has trained. In fact, if you heard recently, when the issue of Ibom Air came to the fore, it became clear that the brain behind the formation of Ibom Air in the first place in 2012 was and is Obama Kanimodofia. The brain behind the air traffic control, now that Akwa Ibom State has become a major air traffic control hub in the nation, the brain behind it is Obama Kanimodofia.
Well, is there any time he has come out to publicly back up these claims? Because we've heard information of this manner in on several platforms, and at no time has it come out to say that there is truth or no truth to most of these stories, because the state government too, not holding forth, they have come out to dismiss these claims outrightly. So we would have expected a rebuttal from the Kanimodofia camp.
The state government, what Obama Kanimodofia said is that he is the brain behind it. He mooted the idea. He didn't say he started Ibom Air. He didn't say he owns Ibom Air. He didn't say he owns any aircraft in the fleet of Ibom Air. He says he is the brainchild, that if it were about intellectual property, he could lay claim to it. And you see, this idea predates the advent of this particular administration. This is the only administration that cannot admit that it came and met anything on ground in Akwa Ibom State. So if Ibom Air was incorporated, Ibom Airlines was incorporated in 2012, this government only came into power in 2015. So therefore, this government could not have started Ibom Air or Ibom Airlines Limited. These are documents within the public sphere. So even though the government has come with a spin to it, the government has not been able to dispute the Corporate Affairs Commission documents which showed that Ibom Airlines Limited was incorporated by the administration of Chief Godson Akpabio in 2012. That is a fact. And I am saying that at that time, the person who mooted the idea as a private citizen was Obama Kanimodofia. Nobody disputes that. Those who came up with press statements and so on cannot dispute that. The documents from the CAC, documents speak for themselves, and they are explicit enough. And that is why we are insisting that those who said they went to school should also bring the documents evidencing the fact that they went to school. We're talking about documents here. So I was saying that Obama Kanimodofia has been a trailblazer in major fields of human endeavor, touching lives quietly. And it is right to say that this personality may have fortuitously and by God's grace been working for the future of Akwa Ibom State. And that is why the campaign mantra for 2023 is prosperity for Akwa Ibom State. We will be shooting down poverty. You cannot continue to have a government that makes it public policy to cultivate hardship amongst people. You cannot continue to have an administration that would get funds that are supposed to be for the use and development of the state and its people, and it keeps quiet over it until some other state governor somewhere else mentions the fact that from 1999 we have received humongous amounts of money trickling into the coffers of states. You cannot continue to have a situation where even in a season like this, workers cannot boast that they have received their entitlement. Retirees cannot boast that they've received gratuities. Next of kin of retirees cannot boast that there is consistency in the payment of pensions. You continue to have this protest every day on the streets of Akwa Ibom State, where people complain that having served meritoriously, their work and effort is not being appreciated by the government they have served, by a government that cannot complain of lack of funds, by a government that cannot point to the specific things they have done deploying state resources. These are the things that the prosperity movement would correct in 2023. Building poverty and creating wealth is a deliberate effort. It's deliberate. It is not a mistake. It's not a byproduct of wishful thinking. It is deliberate. And for people who say that they were billionaires before today, they need to point to us what they did at the time to make themselves billionaires. If you worked in somebody else's establishment, that is not your brainchild. We are talking about pathfinders, business entrepreneurs in the area. We're talking about people who have been listed in the Forbes, who is who in the world. We're talking about global citizens with indigenous roots. We're talking about people who have a track record. We're talking about people who have compassion, empathy. You cannot have leadership in a state and you don't sit back and sympathize with the deplorable condition people have found themselves. People who don't sympathize with the squalorous nature of our economy. We're talking about people who are going to come out in 2023 and lift all of us up from this position of degradation to that of prosperity. And that is what the Akwa Ibom rebirth is all about. That is what Obama Kanema Odofia represents. We don't want to begin to make excuses for while they have been failing. We don't have an excuse to fail. And it is God's time that we find ourselves in a situation where APC becomes the saving grace. And I tell you, like I said from the beginning, everything that has happened to the APC has been to the advantage of the party. And we will take maximum benefit from this for this advantage in a few days' time. Akwa Ibom would be better. The message is that of prosperity, and we don't deserve anything less.
Interesting thoughts. Well, that's in the hope that, of course, Obama Kanema Odofia will scale through the hurdles of the court cases he's facing and eventually becomes the flag bearer of your party. But many thanks indeed, Barrister Imokban, for joining us and giving us deep and keen insight to all of the issues surrounding the APC. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. It's always my pleasure.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, that was Barrister Imo Akban, legal practitioner and public affairs analyst, joining us on Political Spectrum to bear his thoughts on the travails of the All Progressives Congress as they build up to next year's general elections. Well, stand by. The final lap of the show comes up in a short while when we come back from this break. But don't forget, you can also be a part of the conversation by reaching out to us on all our platforms as displayed on the screen. We'd like to hear from you. Stay with us, Political Spectrum. We'll be back.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigeria Police Force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian Police Force.
No, my Lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My Lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My Lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my Lord.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord.
Lord, sorry, Lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally speaking. Amazing country, Nigeria. Legally speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned. It's the final lap of Political Spectrum, and in the course of the show, we've been focusing keenly on the recent developments surrounding the All Progressives Congress in Akwa Ibom State after a high court in Abuja over the weekend had reserved judgment in the case of Obon Akanimo Udofia, a few weeks back was dismissed as the flag bearer of the APC ahead of the 2023 general election. Well, this was courtesy of a suit challenging his emergence as the candidate of the party, which was instituted by another aspirant within the APC ranks in the person of Senator Ita Adan. Well, we got those feelers from Barrister Imokban, who joined us a while ago to bear his thoughts on those issues. And just to summarize on some of the things that he had touched on, well, he had said there were optimism within the ranks of the APC that they will field a candidate in next year's election. So they've assured Akwa Ibomites and supporters of the party that there are no concerns to be held and there's nothing to worry about as far as the APC fielding candidates for next year's election is concerned. They've also talked about the fact that the likes of Senator John James Akpanododege, who is these days the gubernatorial candidate of the NNPP going into next year's election, following his defection officially from the APC. In his own words, his exit has brought sanity to the APC. Well, I wonder how the Udodege camp would respond to such claims, but we know, in the words of many, or the views of many, those issues are now on the back burner following his defection to the NNPP. But we know the drama and the hullabaloo that trailed his eventual defection after every effort put together by the party hierarchy to address these concerns assuage the feelings of members of the party who were not happy with how the primaries were initially conducted, referring to the ones that led to the emergence of Akanimo Udofia. Or they've said their exit has actually brought sanity to the party. It's also said the likes of Itainang actually sponsored by elements within the ruling People's Democratic Party here in the Akwa Ibom State. Again, something for the PDP here in the state to perhaps respond to. And also fingered the former resident electoral commissioner for INEC here in the state, Mr. Mike Igini, as being culpable for some of the travails that the APC here in the state had faced. So how true these claims are is what we don't know. Well, don't forget as well, as I said, you can always be a part of this conversation, not just on the live discuss, but feel free to go to all our social media platforms and get in touch with us. We'd like, of course, to hear from you. We are on YouTube, where you can subscribe to, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. But we're going to have to leave it here. Many thanks for joining us on today's edition of the show. The program would return tomorrow. Keep a date with us if you can. Meantime, enjoy the rest of the day's broadcast. From me, Raymond Ita, and the rest of the crew, thanks for watching. Bye for now.